With the dash, engine, and front light harnesses installed, we can move on to the final portions of our Classic Update installation. First, we'll complete the console installation. The '69 Camaro had an option for console gauges, which our Classic Update kit will support with one small exception that we'll discuss as part of the installation process. If your vehicle does not have console gauges, this section of the instructions can be skipped. In this step, we'll use the wires routed from the dash harness in our first video to supply power and signal circuits to the console gauges. The Classic Update includes console wiring, along with replacement lamp sockets for the gauge lighting, the clock, and the courtesy light. The only gauge not supported by any of our Classic Update kits is an ammeter. We have a video on this topic linked in the description below for those that would like a more detailed explanation, but the simple fix is to replace the original ammeter with a voltmeter. American Autowire has a replacement voltmeter available for the 1968 to 1969 Camaro in our part number 510121. We will use this for illustrative purposes in this video, but the connection will be similar for any type of replacement voltmeter. The voltmeter and other console gauges will require a 12-volt ignition feed, which is included in the console wiring. Daisy chain this pink wire to connect to the voltmeter, the temperature gauge, and the fuel gauge. These gauges also require a ground connection, which will be the black wire in the console subkit. Next, add the signal wires to the fuel and temperature gauges. These will be tan for the fuel gauge and dark green for the temperature gauge. The original oil pressure gauge in the 1969 Camaro, as well as many other cars, was mechanically operated. This means it is fed oil pressure through a capillary tube connected to the engine. For these mechanical style gauges, you will not need a signal wire or 12-volt feed. If you have upgraded to an electric oil pressure gauge, we provide an additional blue wire to use as the signal feed for oil pressure. It's also important to note that an aftermarket oil pressure gauge will likely require a 12-volt ignition source and a ground connection as well, which can be tied with the rest of the console gauges. If you're retaining the original stock mechanically operated gauge, these connections are not needed. With the signal wires connected, we can install the gray lighting circuit for the console gauges. We've also provided new lamp sockets for illuminating an automatic transmission indicator, which will be tied into the gauge lighting circuit if needed. These lights will not be used in vehicles equipped with a manual transmission. The orange wires are the battery feeds to operate the clock and courtesy light at the rear of the console. The white wire is the ground lead for the console courtesy light. Once the clock power is connected, along with the courtesy lamp wires, the console wiring is complete and we can begin on the rear body.